See to them. You're just a freak.
Yo guys, this is Reinhardt. This is a video about my UI and add-ons. And here's the thing about UI is that anybody can download add-ons, but the way you use UI is completely up to you, up to a person. And in this video I'll be focusing on explanation on my UI, so that way we can actually have a really good understanding on how am I playing and how I configured my gameplay according to my add-ons. First of all, I know my UI is very busy, but I would like to let you know one thing. In my opinion, efficiency is the key. If you're efficient, great. If you're not, you're not. That's the way I usually look at whatever I'm doing. Another thing is, I know a lot of people think that using add-ons is noobish, and to some extent I actually agree with them. There's some add-ons that just make this game way too simple. But in my take on that is, I like to be my own boss. I like to configure my add-ons the way I actually wanted to. And if Blizzard is failing on providing the way I look and have my add-ons look, then by all means I'm gonna be using my own add-ons. The first add-on I would like to talk to you about is Dominos, the action bar. As you guys can see, I'm using a lot of hotkeys, and those not included shift modifiers, because in my macros like Shift E, Shift R, Shift C or whatever, and I'm using on average about 72 keybinds, and they're all spread out over here among also modifiers, some a little bit over here, here, here and here. The reason why I like this add-on is because if I want to do a keybind, I can just mouse over to whatever I want to and press the keybind myself. It's very easy to configure. And when it comes to configuring your bars, it's very easy to move them. If you right click on them, you can actually set up the scale, the opacity and all that good stuff. For targeting macros, I like using Xperl for my overall, my party frames and my target frames. Now really quickly, let me actually explain you what is going on with my target frames. The first thing I have is my own target. On the bottom of it, I have a debuff filter that shows me what kind of buffs I'm using and what kind of procs I'm getting, like Rune of Fallen Crusader or Runic Corruption. And it's also set up so I could see it on my target as well whenever they pop defensives or whatnot. Another thing is I'm using a range display. It is binded to my target, to my focus as well, and to my mouse over. The reason why I really like it that way is because I want to see the range, see if they're in range for death grip, see how can I position myself a little bit better. Debuff Tracker, it also tracks my debuffs over here, so that way I won't have to look it over there. All the stuff that I need is actually gonna be located in this area, so I can actually focus on see what is going on ahead of me. I don't have to look down, and in addition to that, I can also understand which debuffs I have, which buffs I have, and all of that good stuff. For nameplate add-ons, I'm using Tidyplate because it's very easy to track your debuff. Being an Unholy DK and Warlock, it's very important to look how many dots and your dot uptake you have on the multiple targets, and this thing actually helps me a lot. Now, in addition to that, I am also using a Ecasting Bar add-on called Ecasting Bar, and it's very easy to customize, and I'm using it on my target and on my focus. On top of that, I'm using a Gladius. It's located over here. The reason why I like this add-on is because if I see that I'm casting CCs or whatever, at least I'll have to be prepared to that stuff. Now, let's talk about something not mandatory, but I think it also helps a lot in our gameplay. And this add-on is a Doom cooldown pulse. What it does, it shows right on top of my screen which abilities I have ready. It's very useful. Another very useful thing is add-on called Diminishing Returns. I'm using that add-on to track my silence diminishing returns and mostly my fears. It's pretty amazing and it has to be done and it has to have it. If you're using a warlock, if you're using a CC oriented class, make sure you guys are gonna be using it. Now, with that said, there's a couple other add-ons I want to talk about. One is DK specific DKM. I'm using it to make my runes. It's very highly customizable. That's what I like about it. I like highly customizable games. Now, with that said, let's take a overall quick look at how my UI actually participates. And I have a really good orgasmic keyboard. It's mechanical and you're gonna guys see a lot of clicking while me commentating, but I cannot do any other way. So let's start. I'm putting a chain of ice and I'm putting all my debuffs on the target. I already see how much unique power I have, and I'll actually see my runes really quickly. I also see the debuffs on target. I see Rune of Fallen Crusader proc, and I see my corruption. If corruption procs, I know that I need to get rid to actually use up some of my runes to get running power so I can actually provide more pressure. This is how my add-ons most of the time work. For the people who are just starting in PvP, I would recommend them to use Gladiator LOS SA. For people who are already pretty good at PvP, you don't have to use it. It's helpful, but I think it's a bit too noobish, to be honest. So, this is a quick short video. Thanks you guys for watching this. Today we actually showed basically add-ons about my UI, the way I configure it, the way I'm using a different add-ons. Add-ons I'm using is mostly Xperl, Dominos, DKM, Diminishing Tracker, Range, and the last one actually, I'm sorry I forgot to tell you, is Necrotic Tracker. It's a DK specific one. And as you guys can see, it shows here how much necrotic stacks I have and its duration, and if I see it's going very low, that means I have to refresh it as much as possible. And the reason why it's over here is because when I'm looking at the target, I see target of my target, and I also gonna see a diminishing return. I'm sorry for the arrows, I'm probably gonna get an add-on to remove the arrows. I hope this UI and the way I configure it help you guys. Make sure I don't want to create 99 Reinhardts out there, 9 million Reinhardts. No, I want you to guys use these add-ons if you find them helpful to your advantage. I want you to position your target as the way you want to, and other add-ons. We're all different human beings. We're all different. So why the fuck a person would be using my exact same configuration if he doesn't find it appealing? There shouldn't be any reasons to. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let's thrive, and до свидания.